I do need your attention for just a few moments as I do a safety announcement. This vessel is annually inspected and licensed by the United States Coast Guard. We meet or exceed all their safety requirements. We have 4 fillable life rigs on board, 1 on each side of the pilot house up here behind me, 2 more downstairs, 1 all the way aft, 1 all the way forward. We also have more than enough life jackets for everybody on board. They're located under those wood top benches there at the top deck, stern, as well as in the clearly marked lockers for stern on the lower deck.
All right, it's a bummer because I didn't do it either, by the way. But yeah, world-class architecture in New York City. Definitely, next time you go, try to remember to do the architecture boat tour. How about Toronto? World-class architecture. Who's been? Did you do the boat tour? Architecture boat tour? 1, 2 out of a dozen. When we go to Chicago, everybody does the architecture boat tour. Why? Yes, I have a teenager rolling their eyes at me. Yes, Mr. Teenager, we are on a river that goes down the Central Business District. That's the first reason. Obvious, you're smart. Second reason's a little more nuanced, so I might have to guide you. Tour guide. Yeah, we burned our city to the ground in 1871. To the ground. 100,000 people homeless. We happened to do it 18 months before the Bessemer process for steel was patented. We now can roll out hundreds of tons of steel per day, relatively inexpensively. This is a revolutionary new construction material. Folks, we're gonna have the first modern skyline in the world, and we've kept up with modernity. We're a beacon of it in architecture and design. Immediately to our left, you'll see the London House. It's to the left of the glass. That London House is also, but I want to talk about the one from 1923. That's by Alfred Alschuler in the Beaux-Arts style. Now, the reason I'm telling you that about now is because we're going to talk about Fort Dearborn a lot. Fort Dearborn was in that exact same spot in 1803. Check out Adrian Smith's International Trump Hotel and Tower. This is completed in 2009, the tallest reinforced concrete building in the world. It's the second tallest in the city of Chicago. Adrian Smith, also associated with the Burj Khalifa, tallest building in the world currently. He's also associated with the Kingdom Tower in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So he's kind of a big deal when it comes to super talls. This is the American Medical Association Plaza, and this was built for IBM in 1973, designed by Mies van der Rohe. He's the father of modernism. His last office building right here. Now, look at modernism. It is less is more, okay? Architects shouldn't be concerned about what gargoyle goes where. They should be more concerned about the utility of the building, the durability of the building. Any British on board? They have high tea there every day, 2 to 5, at the Lady Hotel. Keep that in mind. Now here we've got Marina City. Now check this out. Bertram Goldberg was a professor at the Illinois Institute of Technology, and we get to see his students building directly across the street. Did Bertram Goldberg pick up anything Mies van der Rohe was putting down? Look at the buildings. I think they disagreed on a lot, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, Marina City is a city within a city. Bertram Goldberg designed it in a flower shape, and the reason he did that was because he's never seen a bird's nest in the shape of a cubicle. Why are natural things living in these curvy spaces, and we're living in these blocks? So he said, hey, this is the way. Completed in 1964 and 1967, they were the tallest purely residential structures in the world upon completion. Did you see the parking structure? Interesting, right? Only 2 cars have come off the side of that. One for an Allstate commercial and one for a Steve McQueen movie. It is valet only. Hey, why don't you grease them an extra Lincoln whenever you tip there, folks? Because they have to take a man lift down up to 17 floors. A man lift is a cable with a peg for your foot and a peg for your hand. There's no elevator service in the parking facility. The elevator core is too narrow. So there is always valet parking there. You cannot park your own car because you'd have to walk the spiral staircase all the way, the spiral ramp all the way down. If you want to imagine the Chicago River 100 years ago, carbon copy this building on every address you see. Hey, look, my buddy Harry, 4th story up, 4 windows from the right. Harry is an original renter. He's been there since 1914 when it was open for the Monarch Foods wholesaler. The Reed Murdoch Center is an industrial warehouse designed by George Nimmons. Now, was Nimmons going crazy because it's asymmetrical? No, he would be going crazy today, though, because the city removed a bay of windows, slammed the book in, hoping you wouldn't notice, because LaSalle Street and its bridge had to be expanded. I really like the Reed Bird Up Center because it helps me visualize what this river looked like 100 years ago. It was not martinis and bikinis, folks. It was barrel-chested longshoremen and a bunch of sweat, blood, and tears. 300 North LaSalle, look at that black badge at the base end of at the bank. Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. This building is platinum certified. How did Picard Chilton attain this? Well, when it was completed in 2009, it was completed with 90% recycled metals. The roof is green and is irrigated with river water. That river water is reclaimed, percolated through the building, stabilizing the core temperature, which eases heating and cooling costs. That water is then filtered and returned to the Chicago River cleaner than it was. That's how you get a platinum certification as a leader in energy and environmental design. You'll have to open up your eyes pretty wide to try on merchandise for size. 4.2 million square feet, 8 miles of hallways and corridors. It had its own zip code until the 2000s. If you want to get your mail route done by 5 o'clock in this building, you got to do it on skates. You cannot walk your mail route and finish it by 5 o'clock. Now, it's designed by Graham Anderson, Probst & White in the utilitarian Art Deco style. Now, it was commissioned by Marshall W. Fields, who took 14 warehouses all around the city of Chicago and put them into one strategic location.
What's strategic about that location, Tour Guide Scott?
I'm so glad you asked. Well, it's got a railroad that runs underneath it, and it's got a river dock next to it, so you can ship anything in the continental United States in 2 weeks. It's a geographical oddity. 2 weeks from everywhere. Now, 2 weeks is really fast in 1930, by the way. If you're in Bakersfield, California, and you can get a tractor shipped you from Chicago in 2 weeks, you're right to the next floor. Now, unfortunately, the 30s were not kind to Marshall W. Fields. He had to downsize, sold that building for half its value to Joseph Kennedy, who laundered up his dirty, disgusting, bloody rum money. And by the 1990s, the Kennedy Group were able to sell this building for a cool $550 million. So what did we learn here today, kids? Marry a Kennedy, crime does pay. Now here on the right, we've got Wolf Point, looking very modern today with Pelly Clark and Pelly's Wolf Point East completed last year. Pelly Clark and Pelly's Salesforce Tower will be completed next year. But this land, I want you to imagine, a couple of hundred years ago, we had a town of about 2,000. This is the transition from a one-shack trading post into a little city, okay? It was called Chicago. Where did we get Chicago from? Chicago. In 1833, right here, we had a school, a boarding house, a general store, a church, and 3 saloons. Now, yeah, 1 church, 1 school, 1 general store, 3 saloons. Exactly. We're keeping up with that count. Any native Chicagoans can testify to that, because I know on my block I have 1 preschool and 5 full-service bars on my block. And I live in a boring neighborhood, North Center. It's quiet. I love it. Nobody move here. Now, what does Chicago mean? We heard the Potawatomi and the French fur traders calling it that. What does it mean?
Onions.
Land of smells. That's what it means. This is a floodplain. We have engineered the flood away, but when it was flooding, wild onions grew rampantly. Their ramps did. And in the spring, they were yummy. You rinse them off in the river and snack on them. They were great. However, in the summer, they would rot in the mud, and it was the stunkiest funky ever stunk, so I read. Pretty nasty. So welcome to the land of smells. Hey, this was a parking lot up until 2015. Did everybody kind of put that on the back burner? Parking lot here, 2015. Over here on the left, the residences at River Bend by the Stefano. We put the HVAC, elevators, and utilities on the west side of the building. This was in 2002, so they could have uninterrupted access of views of the main branch. Check out those views. 2002 to 2015, they had a kitchen. We've got the East Bank Club. This is by Gordon and Levin, and completed in 1979. Had no windows in the original design because the Chicago River smelled, and it changed colors several times a day. You didn't know what was in it. You don't know who was dumping what in it. Well, since we cleaned up our act, they have put those windows in so you can get a nice view. Some of the famous folks that have worked out there, you might recognize some of their names, maybe some others. So I'll go ahead and tell you who they all are. Michael Jordan of the National Basketball Association fame. He won several championships with the Chicago Bulls in the 1990s. Also won an Oscar for Space Jam. Just seeing about paying attention. Who else? Oh, Oprah Winfrey, daytime television presenter and talk show host. She also interviews celebrities that have done either something very, very good or very, very bad. You know, if you've got an interview with Oprah, it's either hot or cold. Let's see, what else? Y'all know who Oprah is, right? Okay, yeah. Let's see. Barack Obama, he was a civic leader here in the city of Chicago, as well as a senator of Illinois. And finally, he became the president of the United States all the way from 2008 to 2016. Has a lovely wife who's also a civic activist. Michelle Obama has also worked out here at the Gordon Button Club. The Instant Club. Now here on the left, we've got Kinsey Park, a private gated community. It's by Papa George and Hayne from 2002, 70 European row houses. And all were sold sight unseen for $1.2 million. Somebody wrote a $1.2 million check before there was a shovel in the ground. Actually, 70 people wrote a $1.2 million check before a shovel was in the ground. I mentioned that it was a gated community, but because of Chicago's city charter and the provision that allows for public access to water rights, you can use their promenade. They will politely ask you to leave at 9:30, which I think is reasonable. Now this is, hey world, hey! How do you like these soft lofts? Well, this is Riverbank Lofts. It's by George Nimitz from 1909. He's the same guy that did the industrial warehouse on the main branch. They are soft lofts. Now, originally a printing company until the 70s. What is a soft loft? It's not quite as hard as a loft. So now you know what it is, right? A soft loft is hardwood ceiling, hardwood floors, and only some exposed utility. For instance, the electricity may not be exposed, but the plumbing is going to be. Whereas a proper industrial loft, you're going to see it's not necessarily, it could be cool. Just depends on what you want. Now, this is Aaron Montgomery Ward Park, and there are two sister buildings here. I want you to see if you can pick out which two buildings have the same mom and dad. Erie on the Park and Kingsbury on the Park. These are by Lucien Lagrange from 2002. This is the Euro industrial style. This was very popular in Central Europe, Northern Europe, Republic of Korea, and Japan. It did not catch on in the United States. Americans tend to interpret this as looking unfinished, whereas abroad you'll find innovative as more of a descriptor, innovative looking. It's just interesting how tastes are cultural, right? Now, if you look to the right, it's disappearing now, but that is the Montgomery. It's the Aaron Montgomery, or it's Montgomery Ward's administrative office. It's by Minoru Yamasaki from 1971. One of his earlier buildings. He designed the World Trade Center. So this green space is Aaron Montgomery Ward Park. Remember those water rights I was telling you about? How Chicago has 26 miles of unobstructed privatized or public lakefront, no privatization. So that's in our city charter. But a man named Montgomery Ward, let me tell you a little about him. He started with one page. He would mail you one page, front and back. It had things like roofing nails, horseshoes, bonnets, aprons, brushes, deck brushes, just things that you need around the barn and the kitchen. By the 1980s, he could sell golf carts and drum sets out of his catalog. All right, it really expanded. He's a very wealthy man in the 19-teens and 20s with very wealthy friends. They are investing in lakefront developments. He says, well, I thought that was in the city charter. You can't do that. He said, we've already bribed the city. You should get in. We're going to make a bunch of money. He goes to the city and says, you don't know about these developments? They look up from counting their bribes and go, what developments? And so he says, I'm going to take this into my own hands. He spends $500,000 of his own money hiring a legal team to defend the city charter that the city lawyers are not doing. That's $500,000 in 1920 money. So how many millions that is today, I'm not sure. It's a lot of money. Again, these were his friends. He was ostracized. He was not invited to Christmas parties or Christmas cards, dinner invitations. But you know what, folks? Sometimes doing the right thing is expensive and unpopular. Hopefully we can elect some people that can handle that later on. But here on the right, we've got, I was at a local level, folks. So any Chicagoans will know what I'm talking about. Now, this is One River Place by William Macaulay from 1930. Now, it's also been adaptively reused. That was an annex for the Montgomery Ward warehouse. Get ready, folks. I want you to look up and over your right shoulder. I want you to look here. You will see The Spirit of Progress by J.C. Milligan. We'll get another shot. We're about to turn around, so keep your phone handy. You can get a shot at that. The Spirit of Progress by J.C. Milligan, installed in 1936. Now, where is the Spirit of Progress pointing? Milwaukee. Anybody from Milwaukee? I'm about to give you big ups to Milwaukee. I heard some snickers about the spirit of progress pointing towards Milwaukee. Hey, whatever popular beer New York is pushing right now, whatever trendy thing in LA that beer is trending, Milwaukee was doing it 3.5 years ago. That's where beer is pioneered. Island beer. Now this here is the Chicago Tribune's printing press. Not long for this world, the Tribune is going to leave, and Bally's Casino is going to be right here. This is a sensitive subject for some Chicagoans. Where are my Chicago residents? You want to talk a little bit about Bally's or a lot about Bally's? A lot? Okay. So the city comes in, we're strapped for cash, big surprise. And the city government's like, oh, we're going to get a casino to come in so people don't leave the city to go gamble in the suburbs. They'll do it right here in the city. The citizens are like, okay, we're listening. And so they pick three neighborhoods to potentially take on the project. We do, focus groups and studies in those neighborhoods. We do, referendums in those neighborhoods, asking how you feel about this. 70% in all three neighborhoods said, no, I don't want this. Not in my backyard. Not yet. Okay, Chicago citizens didn't say no. Chicago citizens said, we'd like you to address A, B, and C before you go ahead adding on X, Y, and Z. What is A, B, and C? Well, in this particular neighborhood, this Goose Island area, we've got major traffic problems, parking problems, and and low-level petty crime. Give me your cell phone kind of stuff. So, what are the three problems that come with a major development like this? Parking, traffic, petty crime, petty low-level non-violent. So we're just a little. I feel like I'm not going to speak for you people that live here, but we kind of put the cart in front of the horse. Maybe we should address these issues, and then we'll put your casino in. But you got to get on top of these things because they're already out of control. That's what the citizens ultimately felt. That's not what we got. It's going to happen either way because otherwise the city we just have some financial woes that a $40 million check from Bally's is really going to help out. So that's why citizens say no, and Alder Creatures and the mayor says yes. Alder Creatures are our councilmen. Alder people. Gateway 1, we go right over to Glass is very heavy, but you don't think you can do designed to be identical. Now, even though they're built right over the train tracks, that is faced with a lot of challenges. What kind of challenges? Vibrating ones, loud ones, and diesel exhausty ones. So how are we going to solve that problem? Well, I can tell you, with the diesel fumes, they actually want the fumes to come into the building in a controlled system, and then they exhaust them on the top. Because if they do nothing come out of the side like this, they would be taking away the bodies and Now this is Gateway 2, Skidmore over to now as well. You know what the top of my problem is section over here, Skidmore. It's play on the board for Skidmore. You know what? About $30, $35, $50 there, this really was Skidmore. We're talking hotel, an hour, adult movie theaters, magazine shops, So massive, it's like, oh, I don't understand it. You know, I saw someone with fishing rights on TikTok, and they took a lift ride around the Chicago Post Office. It was almost $18. That's how they got the That's maybe 2006, 2000. Why do we continue to have it? Because you know what's been in the budget for 110 years? Maintain bridge. You know what's not in the budget? Safely decommission bridge to federal standards. Not the budget for a moment. So, we're going to continue to oil the bridge, get it inspected every year. Oh, rusty hope you can change it. We're going to change it out. Federal regulations say it has to be safe. It's cheaper to maintain. It has to be used. It also has another name that gives it a little more as well. That's not a joke. The old Pennsylvania Railroad Bridge. That's another name. If you say that name, you have to say the old Bridge. Now, when that old bridge was constructed, they built it in a position because the old Pennsylvania Railroad Bridge was open. Mostly, a lot of commerce with the so, whenever the old Pennsylvania Railroad Bridge does go up,